So nobody told me after 8 months of prep that I would go into show day and not feel like I belonged there. I thought I'd feel confident. I thought I'd feel ready. Instead, I was nervous, exhausted, excited, questioning everything, and still about to have one of the best experiences of my life. So if you're thinking about competing for the first time, this is everything I wish someone would have told me about show day. Most competitors think that show day is going to feel magical, they're going to feel confident, they're going to feel ready, and they're just going to know exactly what to do. Guys, that's not true. You're nervous. You're very nervous. You don't really know what to expect. So for me, how I handled that nervousness, or just how I handle nervousness in general, is I get really weird and I just try to like make friends with everyone. So truly, that's what I did backstage. I just tried to make everyone my best friend, and I was everyone's like biggest supporter. Like everybody that was working there was like, she's had a smile on her face the whole time back here. I was just cheering everyone on, and by hyping them up, it was helping with my nerves, to be honest. But I mean, in reality, you're second guessing everything. But the reality is, you're nervous, you're tired, you're hungry, you're scared. You don't really know what to expect, and promise you're wondering if you're lean enough. My experience was with not feeling like I'm ready. I was just kind of like, look, I've made it this far. I've been prepping for 8 months. I'm either ready or I'm not, and there's nothing I can do today that's going to change that. So I chose to just be very present in every moment that I could. I also really doubted if I was lean enough. I have always been one of those people where like my stomach is what makes me self-conscious, and I had my carb up the day before. Like that's when I filled up on carbs. So with obvious like digestion and stuff, I was fuller everywhere, and like there are muscles in your abdomen. Don't know if you guys know this, but the abs are in the stomach. So when you fill up all your muscles, your abs fill up a little bit too. So I wasn't as flat, and then I thought, I cannot believe how big I thought I was. And I was so self conscious the whole time. Like, I didn't want to take my robe off backstage. I I was just trying to not look at myself in every mirror, which is hard when you're trying to practice posing. Like, you have to look at yourself. And I just remember thinking, like, I'm not going to do well. So, might as well just have fun. And I did. I just chose to have fun, and I didn't body check myself. I practiced my posing and just focused only on that, because I was like, well, what's done is done. I can't change anything. And looking at those pictures now, I don't know what I was thinking. I was tiny. Uh, but that just goes to show how crazy real prep brain is. Let's talk about backstage at your first bodybuilding show. Look, it's okay. I was terrified. I was like, how do I know what I'm going to do? Like, what is going on? Look, the thing is, most people at my show were actually first time competitors. So at mine specifically, there were a lot of people in debut, and then like everybody did that was in debut, did debut, novice, open, because those are just the three you do normally at like your first show. So there were so many of us that were just like, I don't know what's going on. And thankfully, there's people working there that are able to tell you what's going on, because we were all so very lost. Mine was at like a school, so it was like a performing arts school, which was kind of neat because the stage was awesome. But it's okay if you don't know where you're supposed to go. Like, just find a worker; they'll tell you where to go. And I mean, yeah, you're going to be by yourself, but you're not alone. The community backstage is something you'll only experience backstage at a bodybuilding show. It is not like any other kind of community. And I've been a part of like a lot of different communities in the fitness world. Like, I mean, CrossFit was another really big one where people were super supportive, but like everybody is so focused on themselves, like nobody is paying attention to you in a good way. And them paying attention to you is them hyping you up, especially the girls. So with OCB, the guys go typically in the morning at all the OCB shows, and then the women go in the afternoon, normally starting around like 1. So the men are leaving the backstage area, and then you kind of just like hang out from being like backstage, so like pre backstage until the guys are gone, and then the girls are allowed to be backstage. But you can like kind of start setting your stuff up as the men's awards are finishing, and you just kind of like find a little area. So I just was paying attention to what everybody else was doing. And I think everybody else was also just paying attention to what everybody else was doing. Like so many of us just didn't know what to do. So I just kind of like found a little area, and there were a bunch of mirrors set up. I found a little like area, and I just put my blanket down, and then I had my rolly bag, and then I had my lunch box, and then I just kind of like opened up my rolly bag, got out like the bands and all that stuff, and like my lunch box, and just kind of started hanging out and waiting for like the athlete check-in to start. But then backstage they always have somebody that is like telling you what to do, or several people working back there that are telling you what to do, or like what's going on next. So the guy had like a clipboard kind of thing, and then he was like, okay, wellness girls, it's time to go get glued. Bikini, it's time to go get glued, like all that kind of stuff. So then getting glued, you you kind of like stand there, like, and you don't really like put your butt up that high, but you stand there, and then you just kind of like lean over a little bit, and then they glue your suit to your butt so there's no slip ups. And then I had them glue my top down. But the whole atmosphere of being backstage is just like support that you won't find anywhere else. Like it was so cool. And honestly, backstage was one of the most magical parts of show day, was just meeting people. Let's talk about when you actually step on stage for the first time. What are you going to be feeling? I heard a lot of people tell me that they just kind of like black out going on stage. I didn't black out. I did not. I was very aware of everything. So, good news, if you're nervous about like being able to see a crowd, the good news is the lights are so bright you can only see the judges and maybe like the first row or two of people, but that's it. So hey, it doesn't feel like there's that many people looking at you. Another tip to help with the stage fright is to practice posing around people. Not just posting on social media, like actually practice posing around other people if you can. But as long as you've been consistently practicing posing, you kind of just go into autopilot. Um, and if you've been through prep, or you're getting deep into prep, you know what autopilot really feels like, where you're just kind of doing the same thing every single day. So your body has really good muscle memory. And if you've been consistently practicing your posing, your body's just going to do it. You're not really going to be thinking that much about it. At least that's my personal experience. And if you trip, try not to fall. If you fall, I don't know, get back up and keep going. Like I stumbled a few times, especially on that first one out there. And my husband was in the audience, and I texted him like right after getting off of stage, like backstage, and I was like, "Did you see me trip or stumble?" And he's like, "I only saw one." And I was like, "Dude, I did it like 4 times. Like I kept tripping on myself." Oh my god, okay, that's another thing we got to talk about. Your shoes, your heels, your feet get so slick, so they glaze you. Okay, we're going back to backstage for a second. So they glaze you. Okay, and they spray you like with the shiny stuff to make you pop even more after the tan, right? So they do like tan touch up and then glaze. And my experience, I love my heels. They're Shoe Fairy heels, and I absolutely love how comfortable they are. Oh my god. But I think I shouldn't have gotten a wide because my feet got really narrow, and I don't know. My feet have always been wide, but it feels like when I lost weight, they got a little bit less wide. So my feet were sliding all over the place. So then when I was on stage, I was slipping a little bit. I guess putting hairspray on your heels is a trick. There were some girls competing that have like a pageant history, and they said that putting hairspray like in your shoes helps. But make sure you have a towel so you can dry your feet and take your heels off any chance you get. Um, but backstage is kind of just like everyone's eating their pump up meals, everyone's checking themselves, everyone's practicing posing, like everyone's just kind of doing their own thing. Backstage is super fun and not the scary part at all. Backstage is the really fun part where you get to meet a lot of cool people. All right, but if you slip or stumble or anything on stage, just keep going. I mean, that's all of prep anyways. If you make a little mistake or something, that's life. If you make a little mistake, you just keep going. Okay? If you stumble on stage, if you freeze, keep going. Just shake it off and keep going. You deserve to be there. Okay? Don't let the fear of messing up stop you from even trying. Avoid! Avoid! He's so cute. He's so squeaky though. Why are you so squeaky? I'm in front of our egress window in the basement because I like the lighting. And he's really sad because all of his little froggy friends are in the egress window and he wants to go get them. And I won't let him because I'm sitting here. He can have the window when I'm done with it though. So the tanning process is wild. Okay. Um, so pretty much you're in a room with a bunch of other naked people, and then you bend over and a stranger sprays your cracks and crevices, and then you're freezing cold because they keep the room cold so the tan doesn't melt off of you. And then you're freezing cold and you get to stand there while still being freezing cold to dry for like 10 minutes, and then you go back and you get more. That's the tanning process. You get a stranger looking up in your goods, butt naked. It's really cool. At least they have little like tents. So the tanning company at my show has like little tents, and I think we had like three tents that were all open to face each other. So it's you and two other naked girls looking at each other, and then they have like another little one where they actually spray you, and then they have a big divider so the girls and guys can't see each other, so that's good. But they have a divider, and then you're getting sprayed over there. My experience with the tanning was crazy because so the first coat that I got the night before uh, didn't like take on my skin very well. It has to do with your pH balance, and like your hormones get really messed up in prep. And I guess my hormones got super jacked up. I also have hypothyroid, so that could contribute. But it just wasn't the pigment that they used, I guess, wasn't taking in my skin, and it was kind of like turning red. So she actually told me that night, let it develop overnight because it'll keep getting darker. And you look weird. Trust me, you look crazy weird. But it keeps getting darker overnight. And then when you wake up in the morning, she's like, I would never tell anybody else this. I've only told a few people this, but I want you to rinse it off first thing in the morning so we can get that top layer off, and then it's just like the actual like base coloring so we can see. But like you're not supposed to get it wet. So I was like, yes, ma'am, you're the professional. Weird, but I'll do it. So I did that, and I was just super red. So they had to use a different formula for me, like something green tinted, so it could actually make me look like everybody else. So then that next morning at like 6 in the morning, I'm freezing cold and I have two more coats to get. But let's back up for a second because I have ADD and I don't tell my stories in a straight order. So let's back up for a second. So that night, I was like shivering, and I don't just mean like a little bit shivering, like I was like convulsing. Like it was uncontrollable, full body, like spasming, like shaking so bad. And it lasted for like 2 hours. So that was cool. And no matter what, I couldn't warm up. I was just like internally freezing. It's alcohol based and it pulls the moisture, like it pulls the heat out of your skin. And when you're already lean, you're going to be cold. So then when that alcohol is pulling it out of the skin, it's like significantly worse. It's so bad. But the tanning was the overall worst part of everything. All right, so we just talked about you being on stage, and with OCB, typically they do comparisons first, and then you do an individual routine later, and the individual routine is not judged. It's just kind of for funsies. That's why with OCB, you can see a lot more people like doing kind of more fun routines because it's not judged. So for me, I like did my little flexing, the front and back flex, and actually for that part of the individual routine, I decided to add that into my routine about 10 seconds before stepping on stage. I was just having so much fun. I was like, you know what? Let's mess up my individual routine a little bit for the good because I paid to get this as a video. So let's make it a really cool video. And that's what I did. With judging though, so for each division that you're competing in, so if you're in debut, novice, and open, if there's enough people, they'll split it between like A, B, C class. And to be honest with OCB, I don't know how they split us up. I know in NPC they typically split based on height, so they'll like get your height at athlete check-in and stuff. OCB, I don't know how they split us. We just got split. Um, so I was in A class for everything, and I was actually the first one to walk out. Let's talk about that for a second. I was the first one to walk out every time. Every time. So when you're standing off to the side, like waiting to walk onto the stage, the judges can like see you. So like you got to be like booty up, chest up, like ready to go. So what are the judges actually doing when they move you around and you're on stage? They want to see how you look in different lighting. That's it. They just want to see what you look like standing next to a different competitor with lighting hitting you a little bit differently. That's all it is. In OCB, where you're standing on stage doesn't mean anything for placement. I know in NPC it does, but we're talking about OCB right now because that's my lived experience of what I competed in, and you get moved around a bunch. One of the things I did not practice was actually what you're supposed to do when you get moved around. I never practiced that with posing. So essentially, you just raise your hand and you get out of your front pose, you raise your hand, find the other person, you like acknowledge the other one, and then you just swap places. And then you go back to whatever pose you were doing. If you were in front pose, if you were in back pose, you go back to that pose. The judges are judging you when you are switching with another person, though. So this isn't like a drop the glutes, drop the chest, just like walk over. No, this is like you should have your chest up, glutes up, like head high, be smiling, and like you belong there. Act like it. So they have you do you'll start out in your front pose, and then they'll be like, all right ladies, quarter turn to the back, or turn and face the rear, and then you just do one transition to get from the front to the back, and then you hold your back pose, and then they might have you just walk to another line. There's lines, there's people telling you where to go. I promise you'll be okay. But you walk to the back, and when you're walking, keep your glutes up, chest up, like nice and slow, controlled. You don't want to be the first one at the line, but you don't want to be the last one. And then you hold your back pose, and then they'll just tell you to turn and face the front. And then you just keep doing that until they tell you to leave. So for me, in the debut class, because there was like 12 of us on stage, there were so many of us. They were moving us around. They were doing like split stage where some of us were in the front, some of us were in the back, and then they were moving us different places. I think we were on stage for like 10 minutes. So definitely practice your endurance with posing. I did not before that, but I was very warmed up after that. Let me tell you, very warmed up. And being moved around isn't like a good or a bad thing. It's just they want to see you in different lighting. That's all it is. Just have fun. Um, One tip that I was given that I absolutely love is just I F the judges. Like I F them. Like stare into their soul. Full and confident while doing it, not creepy. So I was really just like looking at every single judge. No matter where I was on stage, if I had to turn my head a little bit, I was just like, I'm looking at all of you guys. Notice me. That's what you want. You want them to notice you. You want them to gravitate towards you. You need to have this persona, this tap into like this alter ego of like, you belong there, look at me. You got this. After you go through your comparison rounds of like whatever divisions you're in, they'll do awards after individual or team, but they'll do awards. And here's how you should kind of handle the results with awards. So the win is being there, right? Most of our whys that I'm figuring out is we want to prove to ourselves that we're capable of making it to stage, of doing this very hard thing that less than 1% of the world is ever going to do. So you won. You stepped on a bodybuilding stage, okay? You have absolutely no control over what that panel of judges is looking for. None. You have no control over who else is there. The only thing in life you have any control over is yourself and how you react to what happens to you, to what the results are. Okay? If you know that you executed prep amazing, and you know that you did all of the work you needed to do, and you are proud of yourself for that, that is it. Period. Medals collect dust. Trophies collect dust. Pro cards are probably going to eventually end up in a trash at some point down the line because your kids, your grandkids might not care. It's probably going to get thrown away. It's the reality of it. All these tangible items are so disposable. What is not disposable is you successfully doing the thing you said you were going to do. Okay? Getting a medal, getting a trophy, getting a pro card, a tiara, all of those things are just one set of judges thinking, one set of judges awarding your physique. That's it. And it's really important to go into show day thinking that, focusing on every little win along the way, falling in love with the journey, because those are intangible. Those are things that nobody can take away from you. So it's important to not tie your worth to winning, because you're not always going to win. I mean, there can be close calls like with mine. I won Open A, and then I had a pose off with the winner of Open B, and the pose off was for a pro card. It was a 50-50 split between the judges, and it forced a recount, and after the recount, they awarded her the pro card. What I learned from that was several things. One, I mean, she looked amazing. She was a very nice human. I loved chatting with her. We talked the night before at tanning. We were talking a little bit backstage. Like, she was awesome. So it was really cool to see her get that. But her posing was significantly better, and that was something I neglected. Her walk was really good, like everything. And then the people that were working backstage were like, look, you physique wise, you guys were like right there, like right there. But her posing, you need to practice in those heels more. Her posing is a lot better. And I'm like, okay, I will take that feedback. And what have I been doing? Practicing my posing a lot more. Because it's feedback. It doesn't define your worth. Winning doesn't define you. It's just an aftermath of, I don't even know how to explain it. I really don't, because I didn't walk in wanting to win. And I don't know how to say this without it sounding weird. I still don't necessarily feel like I deserved to win. But every time I got called back out and I did win, I was just like, I don't know what's going on. Because I was just genuinely so happy to be there. So my medals are still like sitting in a bag in my closet. I haven't, it's June now, March, April, May, it's been 3 months, and I don't have them out on display because, yeah, it was cool to win them, but they don't mean anything. They don't. The person I became while preparing for stepping on stage is what matters more. Yeah. So after awards, it's over. You're done. Now what? uh, well, now you get food. Now you can make one of those cool videos of everyone eating. I highly advise to be cautious about what you eat immediately post show because your body has just been deprived of food and nutrients for so long, and giving it that uh, dopamine rush from sugary things is going to start the rewiring process for your brain of making it continue to only want sugary foods. So be very careful about how much sugary stuff you eat post show. Really good method I've heard is to try a little bit of everything. Just have a couple bites of all of the things that you've been wanting to have, and having a really good breakfast the next morning, and then just getting back to eating your regular foods. Um, I dieted for 8 months. That's not how it went for me. I wanted to try and keep some structure. I honestly just kind of went bananas for a full week, and my poor husband was so incredibly supportive while I kept making him take me to every gluten-free place under the sun that I could think of. I don't know how many times we got ice cream that week, how many times we drove to a gluten-free bakery, how many times we got coffee. I I won't do that again this time, but I mentally needed it last time, and I am showing myself grace for that because that was just truly hormones and primal instinct taken over. But when the show ends, now you get to see everybody who is there supporting you. You get to go take pictures with them, and that's a really fun part. And you get to go get food. And now you're wondering what's next because you just spent so much money and so much time and so much energy doing something that is over like that. Show day is fast, especially with an OCB show. Like, we started at 1 and we were done by like 4:30, and it's okay for you to feel lost because a huge, like, prep becomes your entire identity. It has to become your entire identity. Like, you have to be obsessed with everything that you're doing if you want to be successful. But then trying to figure out that shift from I was just so overly obsessed with this one thing to like, what do I do now? Everybody feels that. It's okay. You're going to feel that. Post show blues are a real thing, and they will hit everyone at a different time at different levels of severity. For me, I was still riding my high. Let's see, Saturday's show, I was still riding my high, I think, into like Tuesday, and then that's when I crashed, and I was like, I need to sleep. um, and I think sometime post show, I slept for like 12 hours. Very needed though. Post show, you're just gonna kind of feel like, now what? Well, you made the choice to go through prep, and now you get to make the choice of what you want to focus on after. And it is really helpful to have some kind of plan about what to do after. Some people plan a vacation, some people automatically plan their next show, some people plan their reverse and then into like a building phase. But giving yourself something that you know you want to do after, and it doesn't necessarily need to be another goal. Like, your thing you're looking forward to could be like, I'm gonna go get a massage, I'm gonna get my hair done, I'm gonna get my nails done, like when I get back home I'm gonna do these certain things. But just giving yourself something to look forward to post show is important, and you want to have that set up before. For me, it was I was already kind of waiting to see if I got a pro card or not at the first show, and if I did, I wasn't going to do the July show, but I did not, so I am doing the July show. So I kind of already knew what I was going to do going into it, reverse followed by another prep, and I think that helped a lot. I I don't know what my experience would have been just because that is what my experience was, but having something else to look forward to is important. Some other really important things to talk about. Nobody cares that you're new for your first bodybuilding show. There's going to be a lot of other people there that it's their first show also. Like, nobody genuinely actually cares. Everyone is so focused on what they need to do, following their protocol, following their plan, focusing on their posing, their hair, their makeup, their suit, all of those things, that nobody's going to judge you if you have no idea what to do. Ask. Everybody is so supportive. Just ask for help. Be open, be honest, and be willing to learn from those who have experience. You will not feel ready your first bodybuilding show. You won't. You're not going to feel like you're lean enough. You're not going to feel like you deserve to be there, no matter how well you followed the protocol, no matter how long you prepped for. I promise you're not going to feel ready. A lot of people question whether or not they should step on stage, and I see it a lot in like Facebook groups especially, where these girls are posting their amazing physiques and their first time competitors, and they're like, I'm 3 weeks out, I'm 4 weeks out, should I back out of my show, or like, what do I do? And they look incredible. They look incredible. If you have a coach, trust what your coach is saying. But most first time competitors don't feel ready. Being ready isn't a feeling you're going to have, just like choosing to start prep. You never really like feel completely ready, you just choose to do it anyways. And it's the same thing with stepping on stage. It's the same thing with any aspect of life. If you always wait until you feel ready, you're never going to be ready. Being ready is just a state you choose to be in. It's not a feeling you have. And the majority of first time competitors don't feel ready. You just show up anyways. So just show up, trust that you belong to be there because you do, and have a good time. That's all show day is. I hope you guys enjoyed my little spiel, me yapping about all my show day things. Thanks for listening. Subscribe to me. I'm going to be doing a lot more stuff like this where I just talk to my phone and hope somebody's sitting on the other side of it. So remember, you were built to rise.